Hello everyone, welcome to the Film Voyage session with Mr. Ajay Bahl. For those of you who are not familiar with his work, Sir made his debut in 2013 with the path-breaking film BA Pass, and his latest release was Section 375, which was another path-breaking film about the gray areas of justice and law. So, welcome to White Bread Trail, sir. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure. Hi, everybody.
I don't think ज़्यादा लोग को ये बात पता है, but sir is also an actor. He acted in a small sketch, TVF sketch, which was about the censorship of Kanu Wells Titli, and I remember sir saying कि वहाँ जाके story line मत बोल देना, वहाँ जाके बोलना कि ये women empowerment के लिए. So that was amazing. So, sir, we'd like to take you a little back in your journey. How did this come about? How did you get into films? Like, what was your early years? How growing up in Delhi and everything?
My early years growing up in Delhi were like full of mischief and nonsense. Yeah, I never wanted to, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I came from a business family, and luckily, you know, in the real estate boom, my dad made some money. So uh, I was a spoiled brat, and basically just whiling away my time and doing कभी एक काम शुरू किया वो छोड़ा फिर शुरू किया कुछ I used to manufacture jeans, then I did some music piracy for a while, all these little things that you do here to make some money on the side and just party. So I was in Bombay also, like around the early 90s. That was the time when Bombay was really partying, guys. You have no idea what Bombay is. It's really sad what's become of it now. But yeah, so then when I was around 30, I decided कि यार कुछ तो करना पड़ेगा. This cannot go on. And a few of my friends were in the film industry. I used to hang out with them and party with them. So मेरे को ये सबसे अच्छा काम लगा यार कि पार्टी है, मजेदार काम है, ये करते हैं. लेकिन जब फिर घुसा तो पता चला कि how difficult it is, and so earlier I was very naive enough to think, yeah, this seems like cool work, but there's so much hard work that you have to put in, and you require a sort of passion, which luckily I had, because at that point of time I knew कि I mean there's nothing else I could do. जो कुछ नहीं कर सकते वो फिल्म बना सकते हैं. ठीक है. तो मेरे को यही था कि इसके बाद तो कुछ नहीं कर पाऊंगा, मैं तो ये करना है यार. So that's how it started. Then I really got into it. I started reading up a lot, and वहाँ से I got interested in cinematography. I assisted Santosh Sivan for a little while, but for a few days, and another couple of months with another cinematographer called Kabir Lal. So that was my formal training. After that, I did not sort of assist anyone, and I tried to break through in advertising, started with corporate films to shoot and stuff, and that was really frustrating. And 7-8 साल चले गए, and then I got signed to do a film. Somebody showed faith in me and said, "Chal, to direct kar le." And but those films never happened. So 2, 3 of those went by, and from when I used to work, I had some money kind of saved in, so I used that money and made VFS, and we have a hero on screen now. My end.
Yeah.
so,
So it
so
was from the money that you had made during that period.
yeah,
BFS was made
मतलब एक
from that.
सच बताऊं तो आधे घर से लिए थे, आधे मेरे अपने. तो सच्चाई तो यही है.
ऐसा कितने यहाँ आप बोल सकते हैं बिल्कुल कैंडिडली क्या कितने मनी थे सर मेरे पास
कितने में बनी थी? ये बनी थी दो में, 2 crores, and luckily made the money back so I could pay my parents, and my dad wasn't there then. He passed away, so I could pay my mother back, and that's how it started.
I have to make a confession sir about BFS. हम लोग actually उस time सब स्कूल के बच्चे ही थे हम, and ऐसे ही सब because BA Pass was, it was talked about like there's going to be अरे तो एकदम जिस्म के बाद यही पिक्चर है भाई देखने की.
हाँ मालूम है बेटा,
And
तुम लोग क्यों देख रहे हैं पिक्चर मुझे.
तो और ऐसा नहीं सर अल्टीमेटली मतलब थिएटर तक आने का वही रीजन था. And then when we saw that film, it was something else. We hadn't seen anything like this. Like उस time तो उतना exposure नहीं था cinema का, and we hadn't seen anything like that. So I would like to ask you, as a cinematographer, what were your inclinations? What were your creative inclinations that kind of made you shoot the film as well yourself? Because you shot Be a Past yourself.
So I feel that the composition is always an emotional decision from what you want to say in the scene, and For me, it's not just about lenses. It's also about how I feel emotionally towards the scene, and that somehow guides the way I shoot it. One thing I was very sure about, that I did not want to do very fancy camera work in terms of too much movement, and I just wanted to keep so that the focus is on characters and the performance and the story. I wanted to shoot a good-looking film. There was no doubt about it, but more in terms of atmospherics, not just pretty. So Paharganj was very inspiring as a location. And we were very finicky about where we shot that film. Because I remember, if you remember Johnny's house in that film, there's one character, Johnny's house. We could not, I recceed for about a month and a half, about 2 months, and I did not find a single place that I would like. I wanted a vantage point from the balcony. So when they're having the evening conversations, I could see outside. And end में हमें एक कबाड़ टूटा हुआ बिल्डिंग मिला, और उस बिल्डिंग में ये बालकनी, दिल्ली में छज्जा बोलते हैं, तो वो बालकनी दिखी, तो हम लोग किसी तरह उस बालकनी पे गए और हमने पता लगाया ये घर किसका है, तो पता चला ये 40 साल से बंद है, बट एक फैमिली है जो कहीं रहती है जिसका एक होटल है छोटा सा, उन लोग की बिल्डिंग थी या पता नहीं है कि नहीं है। तो फिर हम उनके पास गए, तो हमने बोला आपके घर में शूटिंग करनी है, तो कह रहे कौन से वाले घर में, तुमने बताया कि ये वाले घर में। तो बेसिकली छोटे से मकान में कुछ 4 ट्रक मलबा निकला बाहर, और फिर हम लोग अंदर घुसे शूटिंग करने के लिए। बट इट वाज लाइक डिसाइडेड कि दिस इज द प्लेस, दिस इज राइट for this scene, so we'll do it here, because it was an independent film, and like I was kind of the producer as well, so I had that kind of freedom. I could recce for 3 months and sit and rewrite for another month. So it was basically, it was amazing amount of freedom in that film, which is a good and a bad thing, because if it hadn't worked, then I had nobody else to blame but me. ठीक है, if you have a producer जो तंग करता है, you can always say यार ये हो गया, but उसमें but it was just lovely. I mean, first film is the first film. Very
yes, and और उसमें because also I'd like you to talk about the writing process of it, because it was based on Delhi Noah's short story Relevant, and Ritesh Sir wrote the screenplay and dialogues, if I'm not wrong. So how was the writing process of that film?
Writing process, I had read the story, and Ritesh was introduced to me by Edwin Sir. He's an ex NSD dance teacher, choreography teacher. So उन्होंने रितेश से मिला, and Ritesh and me gelled in the first meeting. Not that I had many options also, and Ritesh had already written London Dreams and a couple of big films. So I told Ritesh, I want to do this, but I don't have any money. So I'm not going to tell you how much I paid Ritesh. मैं अपनी बता सकता हूँ, उसकी नहीं बताऊँगा।
एक बॉल पार्क दे दो सर, एक बॉल पार्क दे दो कि अच्छा इतने में होगा शायद।
बॉल पार्क?
हाँ।
क्या मैं बोलूँ, बहुत ही कम है।
तो कोई नहीं,
बहुत कम है, ठीक है। And I mean, as a favor, he did it to me, and I always be thankful to him for that. So then Ritesh, it was just a couple of back and forths, but interesting part is that first we wanted to make it a trilogy, as not a trilogy, sort of an anthology of 3 stories from the same book. हमने सोचा आधे घंटे की या 40-40 मिनट की 3 stories bound together, theme being Delhi and Delhi's underbelly. So we can do something like that. So we decided, like how we were naive, we decided कि एक बनाएंगे 40 मिनट की, and we show it around, people would love it and they give us the money to make the other 2. Okay, but luckily for me, what happened was that once we started writing, and me and Ritesh, the script was about 30 pages, and me and Ritesh said, yeah, we need to get deeper into the characters. It's too, it's thin. So yeah, let's get deeper into the characters. वो 40 पेज हो गई, नहीं यार, we need to get deeper. We need to introduce a couple of more characters. वो 50 पेज हो गई, करते करते वो 70 पेज हो गई, तो हमने कहा यार यही बना देते हैं. I think this is a film now. So the script that I took on to set was about 72 pages. Filled with that, it turned out to be.
And any of the scenes were added on set as well, because
nothing was added on set. जो था script में addition हुआ था, like Deepti Naval's character is not there in the short story.
Another very interesting thing about BA Pass was that we got to see a Delhi that we never had seen in films before. That had happened once earlier when we saw Khosla Ka Khosla. That was the first film where about Delhi where there was no shot of the India Gate. And यहाँ हम देख रहे हैं, यहाँ we're seeing Paharganj, we're seeing the railway colonies, we're seeing areas that, and also एक बड़ी peculiar सी texture है उस film की जो जिस वजह से बड़ा gloomy सा लगता है. Like how much of it was you as a director and how much of it was you as a cinematographer in
Good question. I think it was mostly me as a cinematographer only. So, hota kya tha, till the time I would light up, I would be the cinematographer. Once the lighting was done and the actors would come, I would wear the director's hat and direct. So, and I was producing also, which actually, I never bothered with. I had a very dear friend of mine who was my associate director plus the creative producer. So, all the money hassles were his. So, it was here, I think for me, it was very difficult for me to separate camera from direction there. So, even if you work with the DOP, he's your closest, say, say confidant, but collaborator on set, apart from the actors, of course. So for me, I could never, because I picked up camera uh, knowing that I wanted to direct and shoot my own stuff. So in that sense, of there's no demarcation as such.
also say the characters in the film, and this was the first time you're making, like you're directing yourself. What were the things that you kept in mind before going into shooting in terms of what I want to show and how much I want to show?
Are you talking about the physical lovemaking scenes, or are you generally
No,
talking
we'll come to that later. But in terms of how farther can I push the actors as well as a director, like
we
first.
were always trying to, get the internals out. I wanted the performance to be very visceral rather than, from the inside out rather than from outside in. As most good actors are like that. But I wanted a certain rhythm. So I didn't want, like different actors work in a different rhythm. So, it's also about how you breathe. So some actors start breathing much faster once the camera comes on. And so when we were auditioning, Shilpa was like a natural first choice. I'd seen her in Chak De, I really loved her, and luckily she wanted to do the film. So on that, then we had a workshop with both Shadab and Shilpa. Shadab, we auditioned a lot of boys till we found Shadab. Then Divyendu, who plays Johnny, he did acting workshops with both of them, which were less acting workshops, more like trust workshops, because they had to, perform certain scenes which are physically very intimate. So they needed to trust each other completely. So we did workshops like those. And we were always trying to get the subtext out, rather than the line. What does that line really mean? What is she really trying to do? Is even a kiss can be intimidating. you know she's always, even if it's a random conversation, but there is a hint of the predatory woman who wants to assert her control. It's about control. Because she cannot control her husband, she doesn't really have any control in the house, so to speak. So she does these things, to satisfy her urge for control. So we talk psychological motivations of the characters rather than just worrying about the lines.
Even the whole segment of that love making sequence and mind blowing juxtaposition with the background score by Alokananda Dasgupta, if I'm not wrong, like, and that rhythm, and he was going on that he's learning chess as well. उसको बोलता है कि कमारी तो रान बन गई. It was mind and we see that descent going on. What was like? It was originally on paper like that.
Yeah, it was written like that. The dialogue that you just mentioned was written by Ritesh, and we knew it was going to be intercut with the chess sequence. And yeah, so it was written like that. And but we didn't have music when we were shooting it. So, and that was, I think, the day I was the most nervous. Obviously, Shilpa and Shadab were also very nervous. And I was more so because, it is in your hands now. How are you going to present these two people who trusted you, with that? And if you go wrong, it will be terrible. It has terrible consequences, if you go wrong, both for the actors and for the film, you know. So we were all very nervous, and I just asked Shilpa, should we play some music? She says, yeah, I was about to say, so can you organize some heavy metal? So we shot that sequence on heavy metal. The head banging music going on there. So the music was so unsexual, which kind of made them, just get into the scene without worrying about too many things. Had the music also been very sensual, they would have been very conscious, and they would have started emoting to the music. So the music was
True.
completely off kilter, so it had nothing to do with what was going on. So which I think really helped. शादाब तो वैसे ही डरा हुआ था, उसको डरा हुआ ही रहना था। उससे कम से ज्यादा तो वो डरा हुआ था।
Also, I am assuming that you knew Shilpa Shukla like from before as well, like you knew her. But here you are making the film for the first time, and this kind of a trust that you had with the actors. How did you build that while the making of it?
What happens, your intentions come through, when you discuss the script. And obviously, we had lengthy discussions about character, about the script. And I'd met her off and on. I didn't know her personally at all, but I was part of a couple of auditions where I was taking auditions. I'm not giving, since you think I'm an actor. So Shilpa had come to audition there, and we had a little chat there. So we were on a good wicket, She knew, yaar, ye theek hai banda. And but after we decided to do this film together, we had long conversations, and it is your intention. I feel it comes through. I mean, there's with her, it was like I wanted to be visceral, I wanted to be real, but I also do not want it to be exploitative. And we talked about how I'm going to shoot it. I got some storyboards made for her so that she knew, what was the extent that was required of her, rather than that. But guess what? I mean, me, Shadab, Shilpa, Debu, all of us were very close, when we were making the film. We became one big gang. The first thing that went out of the windows when he started shooting those scenes were the storyboards. We didn't follow them at all.
Wow. And being a cinematographer yourself, you throw out the storyboards. How important is to storyboard, like for first time filmmakers?
See, I think storyboarding is basically to put the actor, at ease, so that they know the extent they will have to go to in the scene. So in terms of exposure or, kind of angles that you're thinking. So it's like an icebreaker. And after that, once they have trust in you, actors really give you everything you want here. They don't hold back. Good actors don't hold back. And that's what happened, I think. Something interesting I wanted to tell you, I forgot. So it was a close set. That helped. So it was only me, Shadab, Shilpa, my focus puller, and one makeup didi. She was there in the room. So a female presence being there also helped. And
so when you were like making this is the first time as a first time filmmaker, what were you like before that? Creatively, what kind of films were you inclined to? Because एक होती है इस तरह की फिल्में जिसमें performance or drama, dialogues are the most, they take the prime factor of the film. And there's another kind of films which are much more into like visual and more abstract in that nature. And you were a cinematographer, so which school of thought did you come in, from?
I think every film you have to look at it differently. Like the kind of visuals that you have in BA Pass, obviously not Pahadin, I'm not talking about a certain kind of poetry, it's of softness and, something to them which were not required in the Section 375. So, every film will dictate its own palette and its own design. And मेरा कुछ ऐसा fixed नहीं है कि I like this and I don't like that. I mean, sometimes, I generally don't like moving the camera too much unless there is a reason to. Okay. So like in BA Pass, we had only one track shot. The entire film is, apart from a couple of handheld sequences, is only on pan and tilt. We had no tracks even, So that worked because it was an intimate story and stuff like that. But when we did Section, we had some elaborate track shots inside the courtroom. So
yeah. Also, I noticed in BA Pass there's very few, although people tend to do that once they're shooting in cramped spaces, once they're shooting in places that are very crowded, they tend to go handheld. And you didn't do that. You like only a couple of towards the end, I think there was some handheld shots.
Yeah,
and also yeah. So what was the creative motivation behind that? Okay, I have to shoot Mukesh in spaces which would normally be crowded, but we don't see much too many people. It somehow feels like the films look very empty in terms of people, almost very ghostly like that.
That was there were two reasons that dictated that. Number one was that the location was very unruly. I didn't have budget for junior artists. But if I felt that I really required, I would have hired them. Also, I wanted to isolate him in an environment. And, I remember Delhi as a kid, जब गर्मी होती है तो सड़कों पे कोई नहीं होता है. You know,
Exactly.
है ना?
वो वाली feeling है वो पूरी.
So somehow, like, I connected that idea to this.
Also, once the film was made, once it came out, and almost it was only advertised as like कि erotica hai, it's all that.
Hmm.
But not many people knew that it was like in the Asian Film Festival. I think it was awarded the best film,
Yeah.
and it was also in Montreal. So, how did you? What did you look at that? What did you keep in mind that because you were a producer also, that in terms of marketing your first film, what did you learn from that whole process?
Yeah, it was mostly, in terms of my media plan, getting journalists interested in writing about the film. Molly Singh, I'm sure you know Molly. You know Molly? So
I've heard about it.
Molly was working with us. Molly helped me a lot. And Molly was like, really, really worked really hard on this film and saw to it that we got visibility. It helped that we were going to festivals and winning a festival here and there. In terms of marketing, see, the idea was if I would have marketed it like a film that it was, I do not know if so many people would have come to see the film. Okay, so idea was get them in somehow, and once they see the film, they'll walk out with a different state of mind, and that is exactly what happened. So in the film, we did not. It was very pure in that sense. The film was marketing, yes, was a little gimmicky, I must say, but it was a conscious decision which I also discussed with Shilpa because it's going to be her face. Shadab, nobody knew at that point of time. Nobody knew me. So she was the one who was taking the chance, and she said, "Yeah, I agree. Yeah, let's get people. Whatever it takes, let's get the people uh, to the theaters, and then the film will talk on its own." So this is what Molly also felt. So are the two women supporting me? Okay, I can go ahead with that. But yeah, it was planned that.
Also, it did one of the first times I saw that in a proper film poster there was the A certificate and there was like that marking that we used to
haven't
see.
got it. I did.
वो कभी नहीं देखा था उसने लगा यार मतलब ये तो कह रहे हैं कि आ जाओ देखने
And luckily, we never got a single cut from the censors. So, Kanika Dang, I think, was the chief of the censor board then. And she came with her team, and mostly, I think, they were all women. And they really liked it. And we had only one audio cut. जहाँ पे नेपाली बोला है शिल्पा ने डायलॉग उसको काट के आदमी किया हमने. It was just one dub, audio dub, one word. The rest of the film, they said, if you're asking for an A certificate, we're not going to cut anything. Do you want to try a UA or something? I said, no, I don't want to try a UA because nothing will be left in the film. So it's going to so pivotal, the whole dynamics between the boy and the woman is about control, and it's about, the film thematically for me always meant that how society feeds on its own weak. So that whole element was so crucial. So I didn't want to take a chance with that. Like, let's go with an A certificate, fine.
Was that the idea that kind of drew you to the story when you read the story that the society feeds on its own?
It did actually. Delhi that way, and I knew, I knew areas like Pahalganj and Daryaganj, and they are the underbelly of Delhi. If you go to, even if you take a walk late at night in Connaught Place and you see all these, smackies are like, it's just completely different. Go towards the railway station, it's a different world. And I had grown up as a kid. I was very young then, but I had relatives that we used to go to Daryaganj often, and even the walled city, Purani Delhi. So I always used to wonder, this part of Delhi is so different. And so there is in Pahalganj, definitely it has a quiet sense of desperation because people are always in transit. Nobody lives there. That entire road is full of hotels and people are always in transit. And yeah, it is kind of heinous, the kind of crime that happens there. Very petty, low-level crimes and like stabbing somebody for a few bucks. So that was very attractive to me. And of course, I mean, I completely identified with the woman's character. I know people like that in my life. I've observed them, so it somehow just connected to me. And the boy, I identified a lot with the boy also. So there was a very strange thing for me, because I could think completely from the woman's perspective why she would want to do something like that, and about from the guy's perspective also. If I have to make it again today, maybe I would change a few things and give it more psychological depth. But I mean, I did the best I could. I mean,
Yeah,
I
of course.
that, uh,
So a lot of us here, we are trying to make our first films. What would you like when you chose this as a first film? What would you advise aspiring filmmakers who are trying to make their first films about? How to go about it.
see, when I made BA Pass, short films was not that big a thing then. Not many people knew about them, and they were not considered as an option as a stepping stone. But today things are very different. Well-made short film can definitely get you a lot of recognition. I don't know about further work, but definitely a lot of recognition, and that recognition can result in a couple of more short films till you. And there's so many web platforms right now who want to hire younger directors who have the idiom of this new India better, and also from production standpoint they'll be cheaper to hire. So I think the only reason to make your first film, whether it's a short film or a feature film, is that it is your first film, and you just have to go and make it. And ho jata hai yaar. I mean, don't hold back. You learn, you jump into it. Trust me, you'll find a way to swim out of it. You won't drown. You learn the ropes while you act it, and ho jata hai.
I really liked the film Section 375.
Thank you.
So, can you also tell me what was your intention behind that script, the way that you created? Because it really creates a thing in your head, because you have this sympathetic corner for the girl in the beginning, and then things change totally. So, if you could talk about that as well.
Okay, so see, first of all, it was not a script that I had written or had anything to do with. It was a film that Manish Gupta was going to make with the same producers, but they had a falling out. And the producers had the rights to the scripts, and they were looking for another director. So that's how I came on board. I rewrote it extensively, a lot, uh, and then I made it. So, but the story is completely Manish Gupta's. I had nothing to do with the story and the way it ended. Point one. Point two, what the script did not have, which for me is one of the main say the mainstay of the film for me is the definition of law and justice, which was not there. So all those elements I had written it, but that aside, even I think the film is misunderstood, because what happens is the guy is a, the guy is an idiot. He's like, uh, he abuses his privilege, he abuses his position. The whole argument was that if you can reduce somebody like this, which you sort of mentally, you have like attacked this woman, and you know given her a crumb. Okay, so fine, for this you get to do this, but you have not given her any agency. The minute she speaks a mind, or the boundaries that you set for her, if this is your boundary, if you try to cross that boundary, I'm just going to kick you out. How fair is that? Okay, so it is a slightly nuanced argument. And if she does that, who would you really blame? It's a complex argument, and we wanted a complex case. I mean, if it was just a simple case of a relationship gone wrong, or like how in the real life, when we were researching cases, a lot of times it happens for extortion. And the rural scenario is very, very different. And urban scenario where both the boy and the girl are, they have their own agency, in the sense they're adults and they're professionals, and they're financially independent, is a different scenario. Okay, one cannot generalize. We hear these ghastly stories about what happens in the villages. रोज आता है अखबार में आप पढ़ते हो. And then there is like the urban scenario. Then this is uber cool urban scenario as well. Okay, so where from what my research, I might be this might be a very unpopular opinion, but we talked to lots and lots of people, and what we got to know that harassment is prevalent everywhere. Okay, forced rape, so to speak, and forced intercourse is very, very rare. Harassment, yes, it is prevalent on a daily basis. But again, harassment, somebody's threshold of harassment could be, okay, she can handle, this, but she's not going to handle that. Maybe you crack a joke, which somebody might find inappropriate, whereas somebody else would laugh with you. So those are blurry lines. So that's why we have the guidelines, right? Okay, you can do this and you can do that. Anyway,
Right.
so, but harassment, yes, there is a lot of harassment which happens. A lot of my female friends who are in the corporate sector have told me about it. Some male friends have told me about it. But in terms of forced intercourse, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's kind of rare. Not with the frequency that it happens. And it is whether you like it or not, the tough thing is it is a class defined act. It is a certain class which indulges more in that. And thankfully it's just that certain class majorly. But yeah, anyway, so in a country like India, where things are so murky and there's so much of victim shaming happening, okay, for somebody to come out and accuse somebody of that, they are also putting a lot on the line. It's not the woman has much more to lose, sadly, in our society, if she's outing somebody who's done something like that. And so we wanted to capture that. We also wanted to capture what all a victim has to go through when she decides to file a rape charge, which is the medical examination. Trust me, we haven't even shown the beginning of it. Okay, it's much more intrusive. Okay, so but anyway, so yeah, that was that. And I also wanted to ask the question, like, who is at fault? She's abused her position of being close to him. He's abused his position of being, her superior. Both of them are like pretty effed up, if you ask me. And this is the case. So what do we do? But the law says, when a man is in a position of power, then it is the burden of proof is on him. Is it right or is it wrong? So yeah, so certain kind of liberals of our press got a little offended, but then that's the liberal trait. The minute you don't agree with them, they hate you. So in that sense, though I hate the right wingers completely, but in that sense, they're at least more honest. कि हम तो ऐसे ही हैं.
Also, going into the craft of it, sir, the craft of a film like that, of writing a film like that, which is, when I saw it for the while preparing for this, I saw it again, and each scene is objective. There's not one protagonist that we're following, and it's a 2-hour film.
Yeah.
So what was the idea behind taking such a taking a script where there's no sides that we're supposed to follow, no one we're supposed to root for? How do you hold that idea?
I think for me it is a section for me was sort of polemics, and I mean if there is. I just wanted to be, completely in the center of this incident. Now, this has happened. This is what we are here to discuss. We're not here to discuss anything else. So, in that sense, it was a very conscious decision to keep this completely focused. Even if we do something or show something which is away from the quote, it's minimal and which you have to show, which otherwise the film would be incomplete. Didn't want to dwell on anything else. And for me, the case was itself very interesting. I liked, so I don't know, it was just too much fun I was having while writing the courtroom scenes. Didn't feel like getting into family drama. But yeah, it was
Also,
to be very 12 angry men, how it is just in one room.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But in 12 Angry Men, we hardly move out of that room. And here we see the whole setup. We follow the characters for a while as well, and there's not one protagonist that we're supposed to follow.
Yeah.
So normally a screenplay like that would be very weak in terms of the general conventional way of writing a screenplay. Yeah.
It actually doesn't have any single protagonist that you have to follow. Nothing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just follow what happened. I mean, I think that the whole thing about wanting to, because it kind of a lot of people have told me that it kind of hooks you. Your attention does not stray. I think that is because the whole film is an argument. So in that sense, in the classical sense, the conflict is always present. There's no scene which does not have your classical conflict, because courtroom dramas are all about, opposing sides, and so the inbuilt conflict is there in everything that you say. So that is one thing which is great about that genre. And even if you see the scenes between Akshay Khanna and his wife, Akshay's character and his wife Sandhya, there's a conflict. Between Rahul and his wife, there's a conflict. So we tried to, it was a conscious decision that each and every scene has to have a point and a counterpoint, which I think kept the audience engaged.
Another very very mind-blowing thing that the film did which wasn't done before in any of the courtroom drama, is that very easily in courtroom dramas we see police ne apna kaam zimmedari se nahi kiya, and that is established. And then you take a moment कि पुलिस भी अपनी perspective बताते हैं कि हमें तो आदत है कचरे में जूते खाने की.
हाँ.
What was the idea behind that? वो
पुलिस वालों के साथ यही होता है यार, मतलब मेरा थोड़ा बहुत उनसे पाला पड़ता रहा है अपनी लाइफ में, वो बहुत डरते हैं कोर्ट में जाने से. They hate it. They completely hate it. So कभी कोई investigating officer होता है केस का, आईओ बोलते हैं, तो उसको जाना होता है गवाही देने कोर्ट में, तो यार उनका मतलब उनको ये होता है कि हम कोई और काम दे दो, कोर्ट में मत भेजो. Because judges, the judiciary has a very low opinion about police in our country, because that's the real world. They know the police fabricate cases. The police has filed a case against a civilian, So there was a case like that this friend of mine was going through. But anyway, so they really feel that the judges talk down to them, and judges really do. I've seen judges laugh at senior inspectors and say, like, how can you just write this bullshit, and file uta ke fenk diya ye. So it was very close to life, and the senior inspector was looking at me and says, like, I told you I hate coming to court. Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah. Also, towards the end, talking about the judges, when they made the decision, you took a moment and showed them in the chambers where they're looking out and looking at the outrage. So was that a way of hinting that maybe the decision is also influenced by the outrage that has stirred up?
Oh, it can be read like that, in hindsight, it can be read like that. But when they give the judgment, they say we've just followed the law. Okay, so it's a complicated case, and we just followed the law. Otherwise, there's no, you know what I mean? And then the option, I think Kritika's character tells Akshay's character, when he says that I'm going to appeal against this judgment and challenge this judgment, and she says you'll be well within your rights to do so. There's always a higher court that you can go to. In this case, the Supreme Court, and I think you can request the High Court once again to reconsider, and then you go to the Supreme Court. But be that as it may, and I didn't want people to get the impression that the judges were influenced by what was happening outside. But it somehow, I think it does give the impression, and everybody read it like that. What I wanted to show was that, the online rage has real life consequences. And now we know it better than, before this came out, I think somebody who's criticizing, a critic of the film said that, it doesn't happen like that in real life. There's no hang the rapist, we don't get into all this, social media trials and this and that. And I would like to ask them now, what do you think? So, so, and when we were researching for the film, so I was reading a lot about social media interfering in the judicial and the democratic process. So I was reading stuff which was from America, or some stuff which was from Russia, especially the Trump campaign thing. And I realized that the same thing was happening in India. It's just that it hadn't been outed yet. there is a certain disinformation apparatus at work, which you win the net, you win the day. Simple, And there's a lot of disinformation that is being passed out to people through the social media. It is being abused, basically. And, and not one party or the other. Now everybody's doing it because they've realized that it's happening all over the world. So it's a global phenomenon. So I wanted to show that. And frankly, when the film was being cut, I was in two minds whether I should take that scene out or not. And in the end, I just let it be. I did not take it out, but I knew that it could be construed as the judges being influenced. But I'm afraid it's not thankfully, sorry, but it now we see presidents in real life where the judges are influenced either by a political ideology or by mass opinion.
So that's and it worked out like that because, as I said, like each scene had its own objectivity. So every decision of every character could be read in two ways. That worked very well for that. What drew you to this story particularly, that you want to do a film like that? And this is before the Me Too became a rage in this country.
See, the script was written way before Me Too happened. I think Manish was inspired by Shiny's case. That's what he told me. Now, do you want the politically correct answer, or do you want the honest answer for why I did this?
Honest answer, sir.
Honest answer.
Honest answer.
Ye Paas came out in 2013. Dude, I got this film in 2018 end. I had done nothing for 6 years. I would have gone and shot porn had anybody, somebody given me the option. I was desperate to make a film.
Oh. And that coming to सही है sir,
so better one if you
good enough reason, sir. Good enough reason to make a film.
Yeah, that's the best in the world to make a film.
Also, coming to that, now not only were you making a film, you're making a film with super cassettes, and it was Akshay Khanna, it was Richa Chadda, and everyone.
Song in it because super cassette. इसमें गाना नहीं डालेंगे.
हाँ सर, ये कैसे किया सर? तनिष्क बागची गाना नहीं आया फिल्म में, कैसे हो गया?
तो गाना इसलिए नहीं है, I think because and credit goes to Mr. Kumar Mangat for that. We were supposed to finish the film on a 35-day schedule. I think we finished it in 39. So, which for me is pretty fast, But yeah, so at some point we thought if we put a song in it, there was some song which was supposed to come, which got changed into a scene we see for the first time on the film set. Okay, so in the script, it was written that a item song shoot ho raha hai and Rahul is there and blah blah blah. That was his introduction. So I said like, yaar, nahi yaar, item song nahi karenge because that doesn't tell me anything about who this guy is. So, and I was trying to push the song shoot. अभी पिक्चर खत्म होने को 2-3 दिन बचे थे and वो मैं जा नहीं रहा था वहाँ पे, हम शेड्यूल में डाल ही नहीं रहा था वाला सीन. So I think Kumar Mangat kind of got it. इसको शूट नहीं करना है. And he said, अजय यार नहीं करते गाना शूट में. Yes sir, thank you. So then I wrote that scene and yeah, that's how it happened.
तो सर लेकिन फिर राहुल जो फिल्म बना रहा है, it's about a gangster. बोला कि आप उसे जानती नहीं है, वो गैंगस्टर था. तो राहुल किस तरह का फिल्म मेकर होगा आपके इमेजिनेशन में? और who did you model it upon?
किसी का नाम नहीं लेने वाला यार.
सर अलग से बताओगे? कोई तो क्योंकि सर लग रहा था, देख के लग रहा था सर, कहीं से तो बड़ा peculiarly it was modeled about सब जैसे बोल रहा है, एक भी requirement complete नहीं है.
Rahul's character was an amalgamation of 2-3 different kinds of filmmakers. उसमें एक कमर्शियल है और एक 2 आर्टी टाइप है. अब वो तुम अपने आप आइडिया
लगा मुझे बहुत सही था मतलब actually because it was so, and it almost felt like Rahul Bhatt had been on a set like that. He had been directed by someone like that.
That's you getting too warm.
चलो, that narrows it down. कौन सोच सकता है भाई, लोग डालो जरा chat में. नहीं. Okay. So yeah, talking about how Section 375 came about, it was a big budget also, and did you ever had that pressure, or were you ever encouraged to kind of push the drama a little further rather than keeping it a little subtle as you did in BA Pass?
Only
क्योंकि
once.
इतना पैसा है, every idea has to come across.
Sorry, what was the last part of the question?
Because so much of money is involved, and every idea has to come across. It has to work for everyone almost in that way. So
only once was I under some pressure. So Kumarji felt the revelation where Richard's character gets to know, and Meera says what she says, should be very dramatic, and like, you know, maybe Akshay should walk in slow-mo and all. So then that is the time where you have to, you know, this is not the film, you know. ये नहीं हो सकता, नहीं हो सकता वो. थोड़ा बहुत होता है. There's always this little scuffle, but that little minor thing. Apart from that, Kumar Mankar gave me complete freedom to make the film the way I wanted to make it. And only thing was schedule. And I mean, you know, he's a very experienced producer. You have a 35-day schedule, you finish it in 39. It's a good job well done. You know, it's not as if, you know, just, you know, so he understood that. And yeah, so apart from that last final reveal, there was nothing at all. And he really backed the film.
Also, like, so these choices that you made, like, you know, making Akshay Khanna a very, you know, kind of like a very strong personality to come across, and that mind-blowing sequence where he has ink thrown on his face and he walks away. So these are very high octane drama sequences. And seeing BA Pass, how much of, like, you know, was kind of you felt कि अच्छा नहीं इसका ड्रामा थोड़ा मिल्क करते हैं, उसमें कितना वो था और कितना ये था कि करना पड़ेगा?
I think BA Pass was, yeah, you're right, slightly understated in that sense. But if you see section, that part I really felt that one should feel the humiliation that Akshay felt. And like, you know, it was important for his character to go from point A to point B in the film for that to happen. So I didn't want to shy away from that. And I also knew that, you know, the BGM score that I'm going to be using in the film is going to be minimal. So it's not as if it's going to be वैसा तो मैं नहीं करने वाला हूँ. So I wanted it to have impact. And BA Pass was a film, again, you know, it was a very personal, independent cinema structure wala picture tha. This was, we wanted a commercial release. So I thought that it was a happy balance between the two, not going over the top, but also not shying away from drama when it was required. Because I think as a filmmaker, you need to be able to handle both. You might, you know, after a few films, you might make a conscious decision that this is how I'm going to take drama. But unless you've done drama, you know, don't. I think you should do drama and then go for subtlety rather than not even attempting drama ever. Because you should kind of know, you know, have a feel for that as well. And I mean, you know, though, I mean, I look a certain age and blah blah. This is only my second film, so I'm also still learning.
And that segment in the courtroom where वो जब ये prove करता है कि that the evidence has been tampered with and it has been contaminated, that is that is quite a, like, you know, one could almost call it a set piece कि अच्छा ये इतना एक segment है. So while the whole throughout the sequence I counted, there were 4 objections that Hiral Gandhi tried to put up, and all of them were overruled. Now subtly, as we go along, what was it that you were trying to kind of make us want to hate this guy, hate Akshay Khanna's character? कि यार ये maybe he's a
not at all. I read a lot of books actually, which are autobiographies of big lawyers, or you know, the articles that they had written regarding law on their court craft, so to speak. So I realized one thing, that lawyers are not impassioned, you know, messiahs as we tend to see them in cinema. They are professionals. They will take a case of a murderer, or you know, somebody who's blown up the parliament. Afzal Guru also has a lawyer, because that is how this system is run. If Afzal Guru does not find a lawyer, we'll have to let him go. he cannot be tried if he doesn't have a lawyer representing him. So those are the rules of the criminal judicial structure. And people who are good at it are very thoroughbred and very, very professional. They're not. Richa's character is more emotional. She's more sort of camaraderie. She finds camaraderie with the victim, her client. Rather, I won't call her the victim. Camaraderie with the client. Akshay is more sort of, he's been there, done that a lot. And his ideology comes through, I think, through his scenes when he talks to his
Yeah,
wife.
definitely.
You get to know his ideology, where he's coming from. And no, it was never. In fact, I really liked Akshay because it was a very real presentation of, if you see a Harish Salve in court, or if you see like a Fali Nariman in court, these guys, they're not theatrics, but they are like so sharp. And they like all the arguments which were there in section were very technical arguments on points. There was
Exactly.
no emotional
Yeah.
argument apart from the closing statement, which the law also allows you to give one. You can be a little emotional there. That's fine. But in the case, the arguments were very, very technical and pertaining to what actually happened. And there is a sort of procedure in a criminal trial which we tried to follow as much as we could to the T. So, and I thought Akshay really, really got into the skin of his character. And he looks like a South Bombay lawyer, and a polished South Bombay who knows his craft inside out, confident guy. Um, and I really thought that, Akshay's performance, he, I used to tell him, like, okay, even his pauses, the way he breathes between the scenes, it is just so much like lawyer-like, so much like lawyer-like.
Yeah. Also, talking about the visuals in BA Pass, the courtroom scenes, normally what tends to happen in films like that, we know कि अच्छा ये अच्छा वाला lawyer है, ये बुरा वाला lawyer है, there's heavy background score. तो mid shots में भी आप निकाल लो तो you know who to follow. But here, every detail is very important. As you said, it's a very argumentative thing. How did you go about the short breakdown of the film, the visual design of the courtroom scenes?
We didn't have any short breakdown. So I tried not to do any short breakdown because what happens is, Aryan, short breakdown you're doing in your house or wherever, in a cafe, you sit down, blah, blah. You're not at the location. And the location speaks to you differently every day. And if I, do my short breakdown and actually go and do exactly what I've thought away from that location without my actors, without really getting into the scene, then it is always going to be very standard, generic kind of a short breakdown. I can get into इस नहीं तो दूसरा उसमें क्या होता है कि एक एक आप मार्क लगाओगे कि इस डायलॉग पे द एक्टर यहाँ से चल के यहाँ आएगा, यहाँ पे टर्न करेगा, फिर इधर वॉक करेगा, तो मैं एक ये ट्रैक लगाऊंगा. वी स्टार्ट ड्राइंग दिस डायग्राम्स, के camera 1, camera 2, track, blah 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 blah. Then that becomes directing traffic on set. Okay, so both those both these scenarios are not very spontaneous. Yes, sometimes if you're worried about the sequence, so sometimes if there are like 40 characters in a room and they're moving and talking to each other all the time, I would shit bricks, man, the day I have to shoot that scene. I have no bloody clue. क्या होगा? ठीक है? So in that sense, you can fool yourself by drawing a few diagrams and take them with you to set, but set पे जाके सबसे पहले वही बाहर जाता है. Yeah, then you find a way.
So what was the day like shooting those courtroom scenes? What was the normal day look like? कि आप किस तरह से shot करते थे कि इस dialogue पे? Because I noticed there was एक point पे जब वो when he lies कि उसके hard disk में there's evidence. There's an axis jump. Almost and I felt that axis jump. And all these things seemed very planned out. How did you go about that?
See, like I said, what would happen was I would reach the set early, right? So it was, if it was a 9 o'clock shift, then I would be on set by 7:30, quarter to 8. And then on the set, I would sit with sometimes I had a viewfinder, sometimes I would just look through this. And I would have the script with me and I would start getting a feel of what I would be doing. So then when the actors would come in, I would give them an area. So I never like to tell them Okay, unless of course there's something that's drastically wrong, then I have to. But otherwise, I give them an area. 'Cause this is your area. Feel free to go wherever you want. Let your instinct take you wherever you want. Okay, if there is something which is not working or some place that you cannot go, I'll let you know. But I don't want to restrict you. So do what you want to do. And then we would start rehearsing, and Richa would move from here to there, Akshay would move there to there, whatever. Like, and then I would block it. And if I felt cinematically it is not working, then I would make slight changes. And sometimes, most of the times it happened like that. Sometimes you give them precise moves because there's certain, turning points in the scene which you want to highlight. So for that, you need a specific move and a countering camera or a following camera or whatever that you're doing at that point of time. So it is a mix of both, but I like to do it on set. I don't like sitting at home and drawing.
So you used to block the scenes for like let the actors do their thing, and then you used to visualize कि अच्छा कहाँ से shot लगा सकते हैं.
See, I mean, once you get in a court setting, okay, if either the lawyer is going to walk to the witness box or is he going to walk to the judges, okay, there's not much more that he can do, right? कहाँ जाएगा मतलब खड़ा होगा witness box पे जाएगा वहां से judges के पास जाएगा, maybe he'll go to the rival lawyer's table, say something, maybe go play the DVD on the screen, the evidence that they're playing on the screen. So there's not much of a movement which is sort of there can be no illogical movement over there, okay. And in terms of staging, the best advice I can ever give you, which I learned, was that every scene is a chase scene. Every scene is a chase scene. Some character wants something from the other character, and the person who wants something from the other character will always be trying to move towards him. The person who's going to deny is always going to be trying to move away from him. Now, I don't mean literally, but even looks, might look away. The other person might look at him, or somebody might turn around. You know what I mean? So that is why you see the lawyers, all of Akshay's movements are either towards the witness box or towards the judges. Towards the witness box, towards the judges. There's hardly any interaction between him. He does not go to Richa's table because he wants nothing from her. He wants from the witness. He'll go attack the witness, and yeah. So this is I read it in this book. This book, I think Billy Wilder said it. Somebody said it. I don't remember who said it, but it's a great starting point when you start blocking your scene and who wants what from whom, and sort of move characters around accordingly.
It's a great thing. So what are you doing next? What film are you making next?
What am I doing next? This is a film that I'm doing with Red Chillies.
Oh.
And there's another one with we've got the rights for a book. It's a classic murder mystery, very Agatha Christie types. A simple, pure, cozy mystery. So that's that. These two things that are.
What is the one advice that you would give to any aspiring filmmaker? Also, name your influences and your favorite films and favorite directors.
One advice would be just go and make films. That's the best way to learn. There's just about that many books you can read. Rest of it has to be, it is a very practical kind of a craft. Though just with whatever, with your phone or with a 5D camera, whatever recording medium that you can find, just go. And because everybody has 5, 6, 7 very idiotic films in them, तो जितनी जल्दी ना छोटे-छोटे में बना के खत्म कर दो अच्छा है. Because by the time you get the big one, you'll be ready for it. So you need to get those out of the system. 6, 7 everybody has. I mean, the first stuff that I shot, if I show it to you, it's so embarrassing to even look at it. So yeah.
Sir, दिखाओ ना sir, हौसला मिल जाएगा बहुतों को.
So yeah, so 5, 6 little things that you must do, and it only comes through practice. No amount of theory or discussion is going to help. Just put your कूद जाओ हो जाता है, and you will not fail. I guarantee you that. Just get into it.
And who are your influences while in cinema while learning the craft?
Just for cinematic poetry, I like Wong Kar-wai, and I like Sidney Lumet's work. Completely different kind of a filmmaker. Sidney
दोनों
Lumet.
आपकी फिल्मों में दिख रहा है सर.
Huh?
दोनों फिल्मों में दिखा सर. वॉन्ग कार वाई दिखे बीए पास में और सिडनी लुमेट दिखे सेक्शन 375 में.
And, I've really started liking Fatih Akin. I like, and I mean, sometimes I watch old Steven Spielberg movies. This shot taking is so joyous, and it might not. I mean, those might not be the films that I enjoy a lot, but for purely technical reasons, I like Steven Spielberg's work also, and of course, everybody loves Martin Scorsese. But yeah, my favorite. Have you seen this one by Sidney Lumet? I think it was his last film, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead.
Yeah.
Imagine, yeah,
Before the
that
Devil Knows You're Dead. Yeah.
when he's 85 or something. That's ridiculous. This is so good, that film. Okay, so we'll take questions.
Yeah. Okay. Rishikesh had a question earlier. How do you maintain balance between real courtroom and courtroom drama? Because real one sometimes becomes boring and filmy are so unreal. Like Jolly LLB 2 was a film like that where the dialogue and subtext really, don't meet that much. How do you create that balance?
True. Real courtrooms are very, very boring. Half the time you don't even know what the lawyer has said and what the judge has mumbled. You really don't have no idea what is going on. But you cannot make a film like that, obviously. So, like Mr. Hitchcock says, film is your life with all the boring parts cut out. So you cut out all the boring parts and hopefully you have an argument that sticks. So people would enjoy watching that.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Hi.
So my name is Rohit, and so I really loved both your films. Big fan, sir. So I had scene-specific questions for the section 375. The specific scenes in which we feel in the first half where the girl is getting molested and raped, and in the later part we see that you have the curtains with the eyes on it. That and because the line is very blurred till the last end when she tells Richa Chadda, that he was telling the truth and we are all in that tussle of what exactly is the truth. So how did you come about with that scene, sir? And even I really love the realism in the dialogues, like when he says when the lawyer says that I don't need, there's a problem which has happened with Richa Chadda did not tell that she was beaten up, and he says instead of this, could you just exchange the beating part and can we have a game? And the judges say that this is not a game in which you can just exchange.
Market. You can't bargain with judges. Right.
So, and also, sir, second question was related to the festivals. Do they really help in the monetary aspects of it while the film is finally at the floors? When you get this certificate and arts. These are the two questions.
So I'll answer the second question first. It helps to get you visibility. Sometimes you might get distribution. Okay. But that only happens in the big festivals, like 3, 4, 5 big festivals. They definitely do help, and everybody, at least in their beginning films, should go that route. It's a great exposure. You meet a lot of people, filmmakers from different countries. It is a very enriching experience. So definitely festivals are a yes. The first part of your question was, I lost the thread. What can you
repeat your first question?
The curtains with the eyes on it, and also the realism in your film.
So how that happened was that when we were doing the production design, I was sitting with my production designer, and we wanted to prop Rahul's house. And so the kind of art that he would have on the walls would reflect his personality and his aesthetic and his taste, and is refined at the same time, because he is after all a filmmaker, certain stature. So we were looking at paintings on the net, what we could have. So I came across this artist, and I just loved his work. So there were 4, 5 of these things together. Those are his artworks. So what we did, and he makes paintings, but what we did was, I was sort of worried how the rape sequence would come across because it's pretty intense. So how can I sort of soften it, or can I, give it a little texture and edge visually, which takes the crudeness, if there is any, out of it. So that is why what we decided, that instead of making paintings, we'd there's a process with which you print them, and they were translucent. And we, on the wall that they are stuck, was a glass wall. We stuck it on the glass wall, and we had sunlight coming in from behind, so they were kind of glowing. So we started shooting with the sunlight. Then, of course, we had to put HMIs because we were shooting into the night. So yeah, it was lit, backlit, just to give that little glow, and that also added a nice golden tone to the room, which was good for the sequence, I thought. Yeah.
Also, that scene, talking about that scene, it's great that he brought it up. For the very first time that we see that scene, it's from behind, and we don't exactly make out the expressions of Rahul, and we can't, of course, see Mira's face. Was it like, did you have planned it that way, that okay, the first time I'm going to show the truth, and of course, it's not going to be as clear as you can see.
The first time, I'm not going to get into it. It was written like that also. And this scene shot exactly how Manish had written it. So I thought it was very well written. So it was Manish's script. Clearly, sort of, demanded us to shoot it in a certain way, in a very objective way. And I didn't want to go close, at least not on the girl's face, because that would be a giveaway, of course. So yeah, that was designed like that. And the problem was we had to shoot all the three versions: the boy version, the girl version, and what happened version on the same day. Obviously, you don't have. So it was a little confusing. Which version are we shooting now? But yeah.
Also lensing and edit also उस scene में कि जब the cut point is obviously कि see through बोला था ना, and after that the scene turns in all these three directions. तो lensing का सर आपने कैसे ध्यान रखा कि तीनों बारी it should feel like अच्छा ये we're seeing it the same way, लेकिन हो अलग रहा है कुछ.
I think the we did different takes of the performance, and we knew the scene is going to turn from here. Bola tha na. So we shot in. It was all shot sort of together. Like we did 3 takes of it, and so not as if we were shooting the scene all over again for the 3rd time. So that lensing worked for all the 3. And we had an option. I think in one of the options we might have used another angle. I'm not sure. We were shooting with 2 cameras.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Lensing again. Lensing again. Aryan, it is what feels right at the moment. So it is not pre-decided that this is going to be a 50 mm with the 2.8 aperture. At so many feet from the character. It's what feels right for the moment.
That's easy for you to say. So you're a DOP yourself. Like you have that in your instinct. But for people who are not that familiar.
Compositionally, I even once told Sudhir in that sequence that we should move the camera here or there. He was just getting it spot on. I would move to a certain angle. He would see, where I am, come stand behind me, and he would get it. I mean, we never really need to had to talk also.
Dhananjay has a question कि सर एक डायरेक्टर को हर डिपार्टमेंट का मास्टर होना जरूरी है. Like does he need to be very well versed with every craft that's involved in the process of filmmaking?
Not really. I mean, if you know a good deal about every craft, it's very good. If you do not, that's not necessarily that you cannot be a director. You should know 2 things well to handle actors. And when I say handle actors, I don't mean tantrums. I mean getting a performance out of them, and edit. These 2 things you should know very well. And if you know a little bit about camera, that's always better. Like, but if 2 essential things I were to say, I would say edit, sense of script. Okay, to judge a script, it's not easy judging a script. It takes a lot of practice. Then sense of edit, which is absolutely essential. then performances, how to extract performances. These three things you should know: BGM,
But
costume
what
design, production design. A little bit of a working knowledge of these is fine, and which you get. You do 2, 3 projects, you get a hang of it, and you're only as good as your team. So hire the best people you can within the constraints that you have.
also talking about performances, how do you decide that okay, this works and this doesn't? This is going overboard. This is being too underplayed.
Okay, so first thing that you look for in a performance is that, of course, if it's truthful, it's honest. Okay, if it's not put on, I think a lot of good actors reach that stage. So that you decide while you are doing your casting. So you already half your job is done. Okay, then apart, so you already cast actors who you know are going to be honest. So that hurdle is clear. After that, what you have to look for is it interesting? Within honest can be variations, which are all honest. Okay, so is it interesting enough? Is it piercing enough? If that is what is required for the scene, so that. mm, and does the actor surprise you? So you might have a preconceived notion when you've written a scene that okay, this is how it's going to play out. But I've seen good actors come and do something different, which is the purpose of the line is the same. The meaning of the line is the same, but they do it in a different way, which just makes it so much more better. So you always have to be very open to what the actor is bringing on the table. Do not restrict them by saying that this is the only way it can be done. I would give the first 2, 3 takes to the actor, and if I think, then fine tune it a little, or if I wanted to take it in completely another direction, then I would have, a word with him and convince him to do it because he has to feel it. So it is my duty for him to make it feel it the way I see it. If that happens, then yeah, you do that. Otherwise, it's always highly recommended. Cast good actors who are honest. Give them 2, 3 takes. These days we shoot on digital. We're taking, it's no big issue. Let the actor contribute. Sometimes they will really surprise you.
Not controlling the actors too much.
Not control the actors too much and give them, if you can, if the location permits, a bigger area to move and play with. Discuss that with your DOP because certain DOPs want actors to hit the marks very precisely because they're lit for that. So I like to light the space rather than the face. So we light the space and give the actors. That is the new idiom now. So, and I really like it because I would hate it if I was acting and somebody told me कि 3 कदम चलो इधर रुको इधर देखो फिर उधर देख के डायलॉग बोल के 2 कदम. Supposed to be real, yeah, in that. I'm just busy, worried about hitting my marks.
It also makes it much more mechanical.
Yeah.
Also, Prerna asks, how does a director, select a story? How do you select a story? Then what, or any director for like,
to ask. The kind of stories I like, nobody wants to make.
Hello, sir. Good evening. If I'm allowed to explain the question, I would like to elaborate.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm a BD student, and after a lot of time, I realized that I wanted to be a writer, or I write poetries, which are like I appreciate them a lot, and these are appreciated a lot by my parents also. I was planning to picturize my poetries because my poetries go overhead most of the times, and I am trying to form a film over it, but I do not get the proper group to do the film because also because I'm a medical student and nobody in our field is likely interested into such things. Plus, I've written short stories also, but I never get selected anywhere. Nobody is like, I do not win a competition. I do not get selected. I've sent my stories to certain competitions, never got selected. So I wanted to know what triggers, like when you are reading a story or a poetry that you are understanding, of course, on a complete note, what triggers you or what makes the romance that you choose to do this story, or of course it's this storyline, but how does it happen? Like, what is missing? I need to know.
Like, how can I answer when I haven't read your story? But what see, um, and I'm not much of an expert on poetry, but I can say that imagery is very important in poetry. The kind of images that your poem evocates and evokes, and also rhythm. But ठीक है, वो बात की बात है. मेरे लिए सबसे important imagery है और irony है. You know, irony is very important. When you say that you've written stories, so I'm presuming you've written short stories, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, in short stories as well, imagery and irony, very, very important. And short stories have this way that most of them, if you've read a lot, work on this little, turnaround which happens in the end, which kind of stuns you. Okay, they lead you in a certain direction, and then there's a surprise ending. Okay, I would suggest, as far as the only, I read a lot about writing, books on writing. You should just research on the net. There are 5-6 books which are very, very good. There are certain books about, एक दो books मैंने short stories के ऊपर भी देखी है. उनको पढ़ो, और क्योंकि writing उतना ही craft है जितना art. उसमें, maybe prose and poetry is less of craft, but even in poetry, you're bound by meter, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Like through poetry, I feel I have told a lot more than what I write in stories, because my poetries are just slamming. Like, I feel there is a great hole in the society. Like, we are running, we call it very civilized, but we lag in very moral things. Like, if I have been humiliated while growing up, I do not humiliate the other child who is growing in front of me. We lag these things very much, and I want to raise these things. So I've never, like, people do appreciate me, but people tell me that you will be one poet whom everybody will be reading one day. I've heard this comment from me, but never got selected for a competition or anything. That's the thing.
How long have you been writing?
I have been writing since, I guess, I was 5 years of age, but actively after I guess 19. Actively, like every day or everything.
How many years have you been writing?
I guess 5 years. I'm 23, so likely 17, 18.
As an adult, when you started writing, so you've been writing for 4-5 years. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, 4-5 years. It's
Okay, so I would suggest that read as much poetry as you can. See for yourself. Look for imagery. Look for irony. Okay, see if you can improve on those counts. If you want to write short stories, there are books on how to write short stories. And now these books are, for somebody who does not know the craft, these books are essential. Like even if you say Virat Kohli is an artist, I mean, not every player can play like Virat Kohli, but Virat Kohli also uses a technique to play. He's not born with it. So writing is a craft first and then an art form, especially if you're writing if you want to write stuff which can be translated into a script. Okay. Now, stream of consciousness एक अलग genre है. उसका कोई कुछ किसी को मतलब I can't even begin to tell you how to write that, because it's a very personal way of writing, stream of consciousness. But if you want to write something which is bound and structured as most literature is, then you should read on it. That'll really help. That'll really help. Because before I got into films, I hadn't read a book. Okay, and but after I got into filmmaking, I started reading. I read a lot about screenwriting and stuff. You realize a lot of it is craft, and it's a difficult craft. It's not an easy craft. Please don't lose heart at all that you have been selected. That day will come when you'll be selected everywhere you send. It's just a process. You have to go through it.
Thank you so much for doing this, sir. This has been a very insightful session. We're so blessed to have you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.